Hello there. I hope you're doing well. I'm Hiramoni, and welcome back to Get Set Global. Did you know that UK is one of the world's most popular destinations for education? Probably you knew that. Now, this is interesting. 88% of Indian parents, all right, 88% of Indian parents want to send their children abroad to study. Why they want to do it? For many reasons. Many international universities offer niche courses that look more relevant, more practical. Graduating from a reputed international university means increased employability. Chances are they will earn better. And of course, global exposure, global experience. Now, why UK is a sought after education destination? For its academic excellence. Many UK, in fact, most UK universities offer good quality degrees. UK offers a host of scholarships and also offer financial support to aspiring students. And the great thing about studying in the UK is that they can also work while they're studying, plus the potential to upgrade student visa into work permit. So there are strong reasons. So if you are looking to study in the UK, or you're looking your children to study in the UK, or you're doing job either in UK or outside UK and wanting to take advantage of higher education, or even if you want to help your family, friends, relatives who want to know more about how to study in the UK, then you have come to the perfect place, because I have got the best people on board who will tell you how to get the best course, how to find more information about universities, how to apply for visa, how to sort out your finances, your accommodation, how to find a job while you're studying, how to apply for scholarship. And plus, with the new normal life of COVID-19, travel restrictions, university campuses still being closed, how the dynamics is changing for students who are planning on coming to the UK for studying this year or even next year. We will cover all of it. I know it's a lot, but we will try. We will really try. My panel of guests today, they are experienced, they have got the right information, and one intention. If the information shared today is useful for someone somewhere, then it's worth it. So let's begin. My first guest is hello, Diganta.
Oh,
My
hello. Yeah,
Hi. So Diganta is Dr. Diganta Bhukondas, of course, and he is associate professor in chemical engineering at Loughborough University. He has done his engineering from Malviya National Institute of Technology in Jaipur, India, and you have also done your PhD from Loughborough University, UK. So obviously, Diganta, you're a part of the education system in England. Before I ask more about university and courses, I'm very keen to know, with all this new normal life of COVID-19, knowing that university campuses are still closed, although online studies learning is going on. For students who are planning on coming, they're starting their course in September this year, or even January next year. What happens to them? Are there plans for from the university side to set those students' expectations?
no, the expectations would be the same as before. Actually, most universities in UK, they will start from October, depending on which course you are, because we can divide these students into undergraduate students or postgraduate students or even PhD students. So if it's undergraduates or master students such as MSc, they would be expected to start as normal, perhaps September, late September or October. Or if you're a PhD student, then you might be able to defer your starting date, because most PhD courses are flexible in a way. 3, 4 times you can start. So if you have gotten admission, or if you are thinking of coming in October, you can move to January, as you were saying.
Sure.
Or if you are still not comfortable for any reasons, you might be in a lockdown situation in India or in a home, you could defer it slightly. So PhD's courses are a bit more flexible, but as it is, everything is normal as expected. There's no change at all.
Okay, so it's fair to say that the courses will start as it is in September when it should have been. And
Yes.
I'm sure that universities are communicating with the students directly, probably, isn't it? So they know what to expect. What happens if somebody is stuck? They can't come because of travel restrictions. Can they start online? And when they can get to the country? Is that what the option is?
Absolutely. Because
Okay.
most universities have a normal online telecast of the classes, nevertheless. And so that facilities is there. And on top of it, this, because of the current situation, most of the classes can be attended online because it started since last semester. So I think it will be quite reasonable, to expect that if the student cannot come, he or she can attend the classes from wherever he or she is. That will be quite reasonable to expect.
All right. So no one is going to miss anything. So that's a positive
That's
news
good.
there.
That's a
Yeah.
positive. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Diganta, I'll have more to talk to you about, but I'll like to bring my next guest as well. So my next guest is Sujay Paul. Hello, Sujay. Lovely
Hi,
to see
Hiramoni.
you.
Lovely
Hi
to see you
there.
as well.
Hi.
Hello, very good afternoon to all of you.
Okay, let me see if I can change the setting here. Is that better? I think so.
Yeah,
Uh,
Yes.
Great. So, introducing Sujay. Sujay is an immigration educational consultant. He has been working with students all over the world, who want to study either in the UK, Europe, or rest of the world. He has also been working with the parents who want to send their children and helping out the entire process. So, talking about process, I want to know from you, Sujoy, what all it involves in the process. When they should start the process, and would you say that they should start as early as possible, and how to go about it as well, so that they have done their groundwork so well that by the time they apply for a visa, they almost know that we have done everything we can and probably will get the visa anyways.
mhm.
And because I have mentioned visa, if you can also tell how the visa process works.
Absolutely. Hiramoni, first of all, very good afternoon to all the viewers and followers. And it's a pleasure for me to give this information to Northeast and to Assam, because that's where I come from. Our heart is always there. And yeah, I represent India as well. So it's a pleasure. Well, Hiramoni, coming to the point as a consultant, I think there are specific areas we need to look at. Number one, we need to look at is when is the best time to start our process? Okay, if officially, if we talk about, usually they say the best time before you make an application is 3 months before you make an application. However, whenever we are talking about a visa, and because it's a very sensitive issue, and we want to make sure that whenever a student makes an application, they get the visa at the first instance itself. So we usually advise that it's a synchronization between parents and children. So to work this out even 1 year in advance, at least, because there are different areas that we look at, which I'm going to discuss very soon. So if you ask me about the time frame, officially it's 3 months, but we as consultants, we usually advise at least 1 year. Okay,
Okay.
because there is a lot of visualization that goes into it. That's number one. Number two is also students have to see, it depends on the courses. So if someone is applying for a course which is 6 months or lesser, then they can arrive in the UK 1 week before the course start date. If someone has applied for a course which is more than 6 months, then they can even be in the UK 1 month before in advance.
Sure.
Okay. Now, getting into the visa process, which is the most interesting part. Okay. Usually, as Diganta rightly mentioned as well, whenever we talk about UK education from Northeast or the rest of India, we talk about undergraduate courses, which is level 6 in the UK. We talk about postgraduate courses, which is master's degree, QCF level 7, or we talk about PhDs. Okay, so anyone who is 16 years and above, that's number one, eligible for a course in the UK, which is undergraduate. That again doesn't mean that anyone who is below 16, they cannot apply, but that's a different story altogether. Okay, but usually undergraduates are above 16. That's number one. Number two, they need to have a confirmation of acceptance. Now, this is where we are going to go a little technical. Okay, confirmation of acceptance from a Tier 4 sponsored university. Okay, before I go further, let me just give you a quick view about CAS. Confirmation of acceptance is basically a digital unique number, which consists of the course that the student is seeking, and also it involves the details of the student. So that is CAS, and it has a validity of 6 months. And as long as the student uses that within the 6 months period and make an application, it's all fine. So as long as the student has a CAS from a university, of course, they need to show their level of English. They have to take up IELTS exams, B2 level for an undergraduate, the same for masters as well. In certain cases, the B2 level has changed. It's in between 5.5 to 6.5. They have to show a certain amount of money in their account so that they can show that they have enough money to cover the cost of the fees, and also they have enough money for maintenance. And as long as they have all proper documents, visa-wise, they're all set to go.
Perfect. So that's a really good answer. So I think, if I can sum up what you have said is,
Yeah.
You can apply for visa 3 months prior to starting the course, but then you are saying, why don't you start the process almost a year in advance? And then you need the acceptance letter from the university you had applied for. You also need a passport, don't you? You need a passport.
You cannot avoid without a passport. And just to add to that, you also need an empty page inside that passport so that the UKBA can put a vignette. It used to be called a stamp before, like an entry clearance, but now they give you something called as a vignette, which gives you a temporary visa for 30 days. And once you enter the country, you need to go to your local post office and show your passport, and then collect your biometric card, which is the BRP.
Yes. Good, great. So so the acceptance letter, you'd have to have a English test proof. I think that's what it's called, and then in that you can afford, the cost of living here, the tuition and everything, and then apply for visa. Okay, perfect. I'll come back to you, Sujay. But now going to Diganta. So Diganta, we know that in England, our universities have got rankings, and one university offers a course better than the rest of the universities. Like, I think I'm right in saying that University of Edinburgh, they offer very good engineering courses. So similarly, if a student is looking for a specific course and he or she wants to know which are the 5 top universities that offer this specific course the best, what is the process? How can they find those information, authentic and right information?
Yes, there are some really good places where students can look up. I'm not sure how you find the information. Edinburgh provides a very good engineering. They're a very good engineering university. But there would be others. But how do I know, or how can a student find out which one is better, which one is worse? So the Times, the newspaper, the Times, and then similarly the Guardian, they publishes ranking for UK universities. So you'd find universities for both as a university as a whole, based on number of criterias. Similarly, you will also find ranking on the same newspaper on subject-specific courses. So that's a very good starting point. Internationally, if somebody is interested in finding out which university ranks as worldwide ranking, we often look at QS ranking these days. So there's a ranking called QS ranking. So you can look at it and it has nothing is perfect. Everything is based on some criteria. I don't particularly think QS ranking is very good because it's purely based on reputation. But yes, you can look it up.
Yeah.
Now, one of the good things about UK universities is that most universities, the tuition fees are very similar. And so let's say, as Sujay was saying, you need to have some bank balance to come to UK. That means if you are paying a, a certain tuition fees, then why not look at some of these universities and go to a good university and higher ranking university, because you'll be paying more or less the similar amount. So I would definitely, encourage students to look at this ranking and then decide uh, which university to come.
All
Uh,
right.
if you
Yeah.
so for example, I'm just giving you as an example. So if you wanted to do sports, uh, then Loughborough University, where I am, it's the best one in the world. So
Yes.
you can't compare any other university. So
Yes.
similarly, you can look up and decide which university to go.
Yeah, no, really, really good suggestion, Diganta. Some of the places like to go to, you said, like the Times. I think they
Yes,
also have got the online guideline, which is, I think,
online,
timeshighereducation.com.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes. There are
And
also, Hiramoni, just want to add, there are also British Council offices,
yes.
although not in Guwahati. The nearest one is in Calcutta. But a lot of Assamese students these days, they come to New Delhi. So New
Yeah.
Delhi has an office, and other regional offices are there. And a lot of UK universities, they go to India for career fair. So where they directly go talk to the students, and actually you can enroll directly
Haha.
while during the career fair. So
Sure.
if students can keep an eye, and some of this information can be obtained from British Council office, which
Okay.
they where these career fairs would be held. uh, so you
Okay.
need a bit of time of planning and applying. And I agree with Sujoy that you need about a year really to
Yeah, yeah,
apply.
yeah. Yeah, there too much information to gather from a lot of places. But yeah, for I think what I have gathered from you, use British Council, which is also in Calcutta and Delhi, also Times, Guardian. There is something called, I think, Complete University Guide as well, which is an online guide. So lots of places to start the research with. Sujoy. And someone has asked, Kristen Mottel, he's saying, can I, or she maybe, wants to know more about scholarship, which I would come to because I have
Yeah.
got a guest who knows all about it. So I think we'll address that in a minute. But for Sujoy, you touched upon the finances. That we know that studying here in the UK is can be expensive. When you're spending nearly £18,000 per year, which is about 18 lakhs in Indian
Mhm.
rupees.
Yeah.
Plus, you have got the living cost, accommodation, traveling, and all sorts. So, I want to know from you, what advice do you give in terms of other options to look at how you can manage finances? What would you advise or recommend to people who are planning on coming to the UK?
Well, finance is one of the most important ingredient when we talk about getting a successful UK visa through. And that is why I told, and thanks to Diganta for agreeing to that. Students definitely needs years of planning, simply because there are certain technical areas. Like, say, for example, when a student has decided for a university, we have to look at the course, what kind of course they're looking for. We have to look at the university. Now, when we say a CAS, of course, money immediately gets involved. Okay, so which basically means a student has to pay either complete fee or a part fee. Okay. Now, what happens is, say, for example, if I take an example of an undergraduate course, which is a 3 years degree, let's say, for example, a student pays the first year's fee, gets the CAS, which makes them eligible to make an application, but there is a balance for year 2 and year 3. Okay. Now that needs to get added to the maintenance of the cost.
Sure.
Okay. Let me also bring it to my viewers, again, for your information, that London is a little more expensive as compared to outside of London. Okay, because the way it is calculated is if you're within the UK, your maintenance cost is calculated at £1,265 per month.
Yeah.
Okay, as compared to 1,000 and only £15, which is outside of London per month. So when we look at the balance sheet before you make an application, so the way it works is it should be 1,265 multiplied by 9 months. That much of funds should be there in your account, or outside of London should be £1,015 into 9. That much of funds should be there in your account. Plus, if you have the balance of the cash, which is the second year and the third year, all of that has to be there in the account. Every day closing balance. Okay, and that is very important because sometimes most of our clients, they don't understand that. They feel that
Sure.
they can take the money out anytime, they can put the money in anytime. They feel, oh, towards the end, if I put 15 lakhs or 20 lakhs in the account, I'm going to get the visa. But no, you won't. Okay, you need to make sure the money is there every single day closing balance.
Sure.
Okay, so all these things have to be kept in mind. Now, in terms of managing the finance, I think, as I said, it's a plan 1 year before. My strong advice to any student would be, first of all, to research, as they're going to rightly mention, go for the career fairs. Currently, there are a lot of universities which have already launched online open days. Okay, there are a lot of online open days going on. A lot of consultancies, even our consultancy is doing a lot of open days as well. Be a part of that, number one. More than anything else, I think it's important that a student also needs to realize what their passion is, what their strengths are, why they want to do the course, prepare an SOP based on that, because a visa is very psychological. It's not about us, it's about the UK Border Agency in terms of what exactly you are doing, why you are doing, and what would
Yeah.
you give back to your country when you finish the course. You know,
Sure.
it's about a lot of different things. So I think I would strongly suggest to a student, do your research work, why you are joining a university, what kind of fee structure they have, do they have work placements, do they have 33% work placement. At the same time, how to manage the money. If you get a visa and come to the UK, pick up those 20-hour work rights, do the 40 hours when you have the vacation and the holidays, manage your money well, because a lot of students, unfortunately, when they come to the UK first time, I don't blame them, they start flying in the air. And I know how it feels like. Okay, but then if you have an extension involved after 3 years, after 4 years, you need to have money again. You
Yeah.
need to make sure you have strong progression done. Okay, so I think all these small aspects need to be taken into account
Okay.
for a student before they decide to come to the UK.
All right,
Um,
Sujay. Yeah. Yeah. So what you have said is I'm just kind of trying to sum this all up that
yeah,
you need to figure out where you want to come because London will be more expensive than probably going to Nottingham. So keep that in mind
yeah,
and making sure that you can't have that amount, whatever 20 lakhs at the end of the course. That money has to be in the bank throughout.
yeah.
Also make sure that you're part of the virtual open days. You can also speak to, I think, existing students if you want to talk to them, their experience, how they are managing.
Absolutely. I
Yeah,
want
so
to I want to reinforce one more thing. They need to, sometimes it can be very overwhelming for students. They should get hold of counselors. If they have local counselors around, if they really rely on, these counselors can guide them with the entire procedure and process. I think that's very important.
fantastic. Good stuff. Yeah, lovely. Diganta, we know that England is known for higher education, and people who are already working, maybe in the UK, outside UK, and they want to, kind of progress in their career. Higher education may be an option. So if they want to go for higher education, how they can go for, and what would you suggest in terms of their options? And do you think how it is going to benefit them? I mean, I know that universities have done a lot of research about it. So your viewpoint on higher education for people who are already working.
So, interesting question here, Hiramoni, because you might see higher education in different ways. Because if you are thinking of PhD, then it would be, I would say, then you go for a full-time PhD, but part-time PhD is possible. So while you are working, if you are interested, but often higher education means that you want to develop certain skills, and you don't necessarily need to have such an intensive program like a PhD.
Yes.
So UK obviously encourages skills and practical skills that you gain that may help your career, whatever work you are doing. Now, UK had a lot of polytechnics. I'm just giving you as an example. So all the polytechnics have gone and they have been transformed into universities. So you had UK universities, polytechnics have been converted into universities, but now we have lots of colleges. So colleges what would typically be like polytechnics in India. So all these colleges would give number of vocational in degrees or skills development courses that you can do maybe end of your office during part-time or evenings. So there are a number of colleges, and most towns and cities will have some of these colleges. So depending on what you are doing, you can look up those colleges, and I'm sure you will find a course actually that fits you whatever you are doing. If you
Yeah,
like
yeah.
repairing a car, you might find a course, that helps you how to fix a car. So all kinds of degrees. Yes, honestly.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
think,
yeah, yeah.
but but the issue here is how you find time given busy period. We have lifestyle, how we can find the time, and for international students, it is still an issue because tuition fees may still be higher. So perhaps you can, if you turn into British citizen and European passports, then
Yeah.
you may have slightly cheaper tuition fees and things like that. Plenty of options are there. All I can say is just explore and find a course that you want to do.
Sure. Yeah.
Really,
Yeah. 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 No, that sounds fantastic. And also, you have suggested that do something that is quite relevant to what you're already doing. Pick up a course that kind of suits your professional life already. I think, that makes it all the more sense. Yeah. No, perfect.
yes.
Okay. Yeah. Great. So I'm coming to Sujoy now. So Sujoy, after finances, now students have come here with a student visa. Uh, but then there is a thing with student visa because it has a time period, right? Once you finish up with your course, then you got to go back to your home country. Not everyone wants to do that. They want to stay back, have a livelihood and whatever. So what is the process if they have to upgrade their student visa to a work permit? How can they go about it?
Hiramoni, that's a beautiful question. In fact, the truth is, anyone who comes here, they falls in love with this country, and they want to stay here and empower others in the rest of the world. But the biggest billion-dollar question is, how do they extend the visas and how do they shift to a work permit?
Yeah.
To get a little more technical, again, a work permit is basically a tier 2. That's exactly what it's called. A student visa is a tier 4. Okay. Now, some time back, there was a lot of disappointment amongst the Indian community and non-EU community because the PSW was scrapped. Okay. PSW basically stands for post-study work. So it used to be there before for graduate students that after they finish the degree, they can be here for another 2 years and gain experience. But this was scrapped. However, the good news, as far as the information that we have, is post-study work is coming back again. Okay, so that's the good
Yes.
news, and I think this is happening because the Brexit is happening. UK would be short of a lot of stuff and a lot of people, manpower. So they are bringing PSW back. Most probably, it would be back by summer 2021. So that's the
Okay.
first good news I want to give to all the students who want to come to the UK. The second thing is tier 2. Few things the students have to keep in mind who are already here or who are outside the country. Number one, you need to have a sponsorship from a company. Now, the first thing to check is go to Google and type something called a Tier 2 sponsored list. There would be a huge PDF that would open up and which would have all the name of the companies mentioned there. You have to understand that those are the only companies who has the right to give you a work permit, to give you a sponsorship because they're already approved and licensed by the Home Office. Okay. if there is no name mentioned there, someone tells you about a name which is not there, do not fall for that. That's the first instruction I want to give to people. Second thing is, of course, there is a salary criteria. Minimum salary you should be earning is 20,800. Okay. To a certain extent, it can be even up to 30,000. Now,
That's
that
very
is
specific. I said
that's
that's
very
very
specific.
specific. 20,800. All right.
Yes, we have to be Hiramoni because the whole visa depends on that.
Sure.
Okay. There is a strong attribute. It's a points-based system. A student or someone has to have 70 points. 50 points is given for the confirmation of the sponsorship. 10 points is given for level of English, and another 10 points is given for minimum funds, which is about 945 pounds, which has to be kept for 3 months period. Okay. So as long as someone has these basics done, they should be in a position to switch from a tier 4 to a tier 2 inside the country. Total period is 5 years. They get a 3 years first extension of another 2 years. They can apply for an indefinite leave to remain and be happy here in England.
Yeah.
If not, there are even sponsorships available for 3 years and 5 years separately, for which the application fees are different.
All right. Okay. Fantastic. So there are lots of information there. After
Very technical.
from tier 2 to so from tier 4 to tier 2. Yes. So they basically have to find out which are those companies who can sponsor them, because that's very important. But then you have also given a good news that from 2021 summer, I think that is it for 2 years more that students can stay back in the country after they
so
finish.
basically, after they are done with the degree, bachelor's or master's, they would be automatically getting a 2 years PSW. After the PSW, they can still go for a work permit, which is a tier 2. And that's where I would come to Diganta quickly. Again, it's so important to choose the right university, because there are universities who gives you amazing internship opportunities. Okay. And I think it's very important for a student to go for internship, because you work with the top companies, and there are a lot of cases wherein the companies love the students so much that the companies themselves gave them a sponsorship for tier 2.
Yeah, no, they don't love the student. They love what they will bring to their company with their, qualification and knowledge. So that's just a win-win situation. But hey, listen, both of you, Diganta and Sujay. I mean, I'm kind of running out of time because I have got more guests waiting. But thank you so much, because I really thought that there were lots of useful information. I learned something new as well. So thank you for giving your time.
Thank you.
And have a good Sunday afternoon.
Thank you very much.
You too.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Good. All right, so both Diganta and Sujay, they had lots of information to share. And like they both said, do not forget to start the process early. That's one way that you can do your best research. I have got more guests now, and which I would like to bring to the panel. And my first guest is Dr. Lipika Deka. Hello, Lipika. So Lipika, she is a senior lecturer in computer science in De Montfort University. She is also the faculty head for PhD students, right? No, research students. And she has done her engineering from Jorhat Engineering College in Assam. And she has also done her PhD from IIT Guwahati in Assam. And she is responsible for strategic recruitment of PhD students in the faculty. So yeah, Lipika, you're also part of the UK education system. So I just had a quick chat with the previous guest about, how to manage finances. I wanted to ask about accommodation as well, but I didn't have much time. So I want to know from you, are there schemes run by universities in the UK who can support international students in terms of their finances, their accommodation? If so, then I would like to know more. If not, what would you suggest, students for finances and accommodation?
Hello, Hiramoni. It's lovely to be here. And I have got a few information. And if I just run, keep on talking, just feel free to cut me short. So with regards to finances and accommodation, which is really, really important, and we can sort of start from the UG level, and then the PG level, and then the PGR level. Now, for the undergraduate level, the amount of scholarship or the places that you can get scholarships for are much lesser, but there are still some available, and that's from the universities itself. So you need to, once you have selected your university, you need to go to look into the university that you have selected, and then have can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So you should go into the university and have a look at what are the options available. So you might have to, as my previous speakers have said, you might have to write a statement of purpose, and it's very competitive. They have got the Vice Chancellor's scholarship for the UG level. It's very limited. It's competitive, but it's possible. So apart from what my previous speaker said about the time, another thing that I would like to stress here for everyone looking is perseverance. You need to persevere, and then you will get something. So that's for the UG level there. And then coming up to the PG level, that is the master's level, things get a bit more, greener. And it's a little bit less competitive because, it gets much more niche and lesser people want to do masters. So there is a very nice place where you can go to. That is your findermasters.com.
Okay.
And findermasters.com has got this amazing place where they have sort of collated all the possible ways through which you can get scholarships.
Okay.
So there are scholarships for country-specific scholarships. There are scholarships which are like, for all the countries. Now, for example, there are things like the Chevening Scholarship, which is for almost, and then the Commonwealth Scholarship. And then when you go deeper into the Commonwealth Scholarship, you see that it's more for the developing countries rather than the developed. But of course, you can find some which is like from India and others. Then there is a Great Scholarship. And also there is one for just for Scotland. That's a Scotland Saltire Scholarship.
Okay.
So that's like the one given by the government, some agency, by the British Council. Then you have got scholarships from your own home countries. Like, for example, for India, there is the INLAC Scholarship. Then there is the Oxford and Cambridge Society of India Scholarship, the Oxford Indira Gandhi Graduate Scholarship. And then, of course, you have got the Phillips Scholarship, which is mainly for the underprivileged, but very, very, very good students. So very talented students. So you have got the Phillips Scholarship.
Okay.
Then apart from these scholarships that is given by your home country, the British Council and the UK government, you also have scholarships from the charities. There's a lot of charities like your Gates charity, that means the Bill Gates one. Then you have got the Rhodes Scholarship. You also have scholarship for, especially for female.
Okay.
And like Muslim Aid, they, there is a number of scholarship from these charities and trusts that try to promote women from many of these developing countries.
All right.
With a master's student, one that is good, if you do your undergraduate in the UK from that particular university, your fees get deducted by 50%.
Okay, that's a very good point.
Yes, that's another thing that's really nice. And also the fact that you can do distance learning. So you don't really need to come here. So when you come up to masters, you get that option that you can do distance learning. You can stay where you are and then do it online totally. And you have got your industrial fellowship from the place that you're working in.
Cool. Okay. So I think, did you have more? Did you have more options?
Come up quickly to the PhD ones. So just like it's very similar to your master's, and this place called finderphd.com, you'll find a lot of these options there. And one thing I would like to suggest for anyone who wants to do PhD, try and find a bond between the, make a bond with the supervisor you want to work with.
Okay.
And that sort of, makes you get a scholarship like, industrial ones or some sponsorship agents. So that's very important. And also publishing in your master's part.
I'll have a question about PhD because I know that you do recruitment of PhD students. But before that, what you have said, like, that for undergraduates, probably options of scholarship is a bit less. But once you're into post-graduation, There are many
It's
scholarships
better.
that you can look
Yes.
at, and there's some global ones, there's some country specific ones, some
Absolutely.
charity also, and like you said, I think developing countries, which also involves, includes India, also offers, a lot of scholarships. It's just
Yes.
about,
Your own.
yeah, I think it's just getting the case study right, isn't it? That why that particular student should get scholarship. I think that's where I think they should really focus on.
Yes. Yes.
Brilliant. Lipika, I'll have lots to talk about, but before that, I'll bring my next guest as well to the panel, and he is hi, Renal. Renal, I think you need to unmute your speaker.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. So, Dr. Mrinal Kumar Das, he is a postgraduate, no, he's a postdoctoral research fellow scientist, and you work in the area of preclinical TB vaccine and metabolism research. Have I got it right?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
So you have come to the UK with scholarship, not once, I think twice, you said. So I kind of obviously am very keen to know, what this scholarship is about, who the sponsor is, what kind of work you are doing. But more than that, also I want to know, I mean, Lipika has already spoken about scholarship. How does this work? How can one apply for it? And what are some, have you got tips, that will help people to write their, maybe submission or whatever that is? So yeah, if you can talk about that. Someone has asked me also about scholarship, so I think people are interested.
Thank you very much. Actually, it's very nice to be here. Can you hear me? Sorry?
I can, yeah.
So as Dr. Lipika has already talked, that there are scholarships at different level, at undergraduate level, postgraduate level, then PhD level. So the level at which I came here was something called post-doctoral level. So you get those scholarships or scientific scholarships after you do your PhD. So there are different scholarships available for those. So the first one that I got was called a Newton International Fellowship, given by Royal Society. Then similarly, there are other fellowships also. Those are called like EMBO fellowships, European Molecular Biology Organization fellowships. So those are like something is called short duration fellowship, which is for 6 months, and some are long duration fellowships for 2 years. Then there is something very prestigious. It's called Marie Curie Skłodowska Scholarship.
Yes.
Yeah. So all these are very competitive in a sense. So what are the main criteria for selection is that during your PhD, like what kind of research you have done, and how many publications you have done, and do you have any patent or anything probably in your name. And the procedure is like the first you have to identify your supervisor. My supervisor, when I approached her in 2015, she was in US.
Okay.
So she told me that, okay, your project is good. I would like to work with you, but I'm coming to UK. So that's how I came to UK. So it was not my choice. My choice was the supervisor that I wanted to work with. Then once she came here, then she said that my fundings and all these things are coming. So there are two ways. Either she get a project and put me on the salary on the project. And simultaneously, I also explore fellowships. So I wrote this Newton Fellowship. The criteria is the candidate. So candidates like what is his qualification and what is his publications and all the same research criteria. Second is where he is coming, the mentor, what he is going to bring back to the country, his country of origin, and what is going to bring to UK.
Sure.
So my experience was in metabolism, and my supervisor is in a top TB immunologist among 10 in the whole world, I would say. So
Wow.
we develop a immunometabolic molism consortia. So he looks at the immunology part, I looks at the metabolism part. So like that, like it's there are different criteria that need to fulfill before you get this scholarship. So more or less, this EMBO and the Marie Skłodowska, all these, the criteria of selections are almost the same.
Okay. So I think like we spoke before, with the scholarship, it's like you said, what would you bring back to your home country? What will you bring to the host country? What kind of work you are doing? That's, I think,
You need to
prime.
write around 27 pages applications or
27 pages. All right. Give yourself time, isn't it? Don't rush. Great. Do you know what? I have got my next guest, and I can see her here. I think it will be quite nice to bring her as well to the panel. I hope that's okay, Swaswati. And she is young, she is vibrant, she's lovely, bubbly. So let's try and bring her as well to the panel. And she's Swaswati Pathak.
Hello.
Hi, Swaswati.
I'm
So,
Pathak.
so Swaswati is here as a undergraduate student, and she works. She studying in the University of Nottingham in the UK, and she is from Assam. She studied before in Assam, and then obviously she is in the UK. So Swaswati, I wanted to know this from, and first of all, I wanted to know that are you all right with all this COVID-19 lockdown and not being able to go home? Are you all okay? You okay,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
our studies did get halted like mid-year because my second year, I till January I had my classes, and after that it just got stopped and everything was moved to online learning, and it's not been that difficult because my course is English and history, and we anyway do a lot of research online. It's not been that hard, and my exams were just essay based that we just need to submit at the end of the year. But to be honest, it's not been that difficult, but I haven't been able to go home though. So like that was a minor hiccup, and because flights were grounded. But I have my friends here, so I'm living with my friends currently. So mentally, I'm doing well because it's not. I would reckon it's not good to stay alone during the quarantine. For mental health. So I have been quite lucky in that respect because I'm living with my friends, and so for me personally, it's not been such a difficult experience. A different one, sure, but not a difficult one.
All right. Now, that's lovely to hear. Like you said, I think having that support system from friends is very handy in times like this. Now, my actual question is, because you left home and, you left your family, friends, like you said, and here coming to a new country, new way of learning, weather, everything, culture. So I want to know, when you arrived, how welcoming was it, the whole environment? And I mean, was it easy to blend in? Did you have any difficulty making new friends? How has the whole experience been?
Yeah, like from the first day, I had basically no difficulty making any friends because I'm naturally, I think it's also because it depends on the person personally, because I'm quite extroverted. I love making new friends, so it's has not been much of a tedious task for me. I got along with pretty much everyone, and everyone welcomed me with I just gelled in very nicely. A very positive experience, I would say.
Brilliant. Okay, so I think because you say that you're outgoing and you're quite you love people, I suppose. But that's really good to know that it's all welcoming. It's good news for parents as well who worry for their children, isn't it?
Yeah.
Great stuff. So now coming to Lipika, I think it's that extension of that question only. I just asked Swaswati is, for international students, it can be a lot when they get into a new country, leaving their family, friends behind. Like we just said, it's a new country, the weather, it's the culture, it's new way of life, new way of learning, sometimes making new friends. It can be a lot to take in. So I also know that you do work in the students' mental health side. So what would you suggest, if a student feels a bit isolated, feel lonely, what can they do? Where can they go? Where can they find help? What did you say?
Well, I'll answer it from the technical point of view and then probably come back to a thing. From the technical, from the university, every student, undergraduate and masters, they have got a personal tutor. So that's the first point of call. So this is not academic. I have a lot of personal tutees. So that person, when he or she feels lonely, that's the first point of call. And then this personal tutor then tells you that, these are the different options that you have. We have got a mental health department. We have got, the other places that you can go for help and like consultation. I think Sujay had also said before me that,
Yes.
there are a lot of consultants within the university that help students get along, whether they are professional ones or whether they could be like buddies within the, within the course, seniors, etc. You have got student unions who help students a lot. And as soon as you come in, you have got, freshers. There are a lot of activities for the students coming in, and it's a great place to know your people. Then that's sort of the technical part. From the sort of more personal side, I would really suggest, like Saraswati said, make friends. Don't stick with
Yeah.
your community. There are so many other communities. You've got the British people, all others. And what happens then is that you get to know new things, culturally different things. And that is interesting. And that makes you, stop being lonely. And then, you're learning new things all the time. There are ways that you can volunteer. Like, for example, in De Montfort University, we run something like called the Square Mile Project, that where students can go and help the underprivileged teach coding, voluntarily. So you get involved in this voluntary work, and that sort of helps you gel in with the community and also
Yeah.
make you feel less lonely, I guess.
I saw that everything you were saying, Swaswati was nodding her head because it all made sense to her. So I'm just summing out for you. Is that every student has got a personal tutor. They can go to there are counselors within the university. They can also go to student union if they need help. They can also obviously make friends. You can mingle with anybody. But I think outside university also there are lots of helping lines. Like I know there is something called Student Minds. There is someone called Nightline. I think students have
Yeah.
got this charity phone call that anyone can call them and ask for advice. So there is a lot of advice and help out there. Anybody shouldn't feel isolated at any point. But thank you, actually, both of you sharing all your experiences. Rinal, so after the sponsorship bit, how it works, you told me. The next question I want to know is this. Again, with scholarship, one of the things is that once the scholarship finishes, basically you got to go back to your home country, isn't it? So it's for a limited period of time, and not everyone wants to do that. They want to get another scholarship or get another job and stay for longer. If someone wants to do that, is there a process? How can they go about it?
The best thing is to keep your eyes and ears open. So, and most of the time, like in my research in health or biomedical research, the 2 years is not sufficient to conclusively do something.
Sure.
So if your supervisor wants that you should stay a little longer, so that all the outputs are visible. So one way is that if she has or he has a research grant, she can put you in the research grant, and you
Okay.
get the salary from the research grant. Or you explore more fellowships. Like I finished my Newton Fellowship, then I get to know about something called Wellcome Trust Institutional Support Fellowship, and that someone from India cannot apply. That
Okay.
somebody who is already in India could apply.
Okay.
So I was lucky in that sense. So I applied for that, and luckily I got it. And then I stayed one more year. Then I got, after one more year, they gave me some extension with a 20% salary. And rest 80% is supported by my supervisor's research grant.
Okay.
So we are writing more
Okay. I think your Wi-Fi isn't quite working now, so kind of
Yes,
stuck,
I
Mrinal.
just wanted to
Oh,
reinforce what Mrinal has said, if I may, Hiramoni. It's like, the thing that I said that about the relationship with your supervisor, that person-to-person relationship, and to be able to show that, you have got capability, that's really important. And
Yeah,
that's
I
how,
think.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I do know what I'll do. I'll remove Mrinal. Mrinal, I don't know if you can hear me. If you can come back and join again, let's see if we can do that. All right. Yeah, Lipika, I think you are absolutely right. Okay. Let's see what happens to him. Okay. So yeah, like he said, 80% is funded by his, what did you say? What's the word? Who you work
Welcome
with?
trust.
Welcome
Yes,
trust.
yes, I said
Yeah.
supervisor. So if you make that
Supervisor.
relationship, that sort of works a lot.
That's important. And also keep your eyes open, isn't it? And ears open,
Yeah.
obviously, because there may be more opportunities. Yeah, that's brilliant. Now that Mrinal isn't there, so I'm coming to Swaswati. I think you are a great person to ask this question because you have studied in India. You have
yeah.
also now studied in the UK. So from your experience, what do you think? How is the education system you think is different in India to the education system here in the UK, your learning and everything? What will be your view?
Sure, they're different, but I don't think they can be compared because they're not quite on the same plane. And I would just say they are very different, but not so different that you cannot adjust to it. Because I would say it's more research based here, and it's more you're allowed more free thought, and you're allowed to have an opinion, so to speak, because like back home, at least schooling was, I would say, you were given the materials that you needed to study, and in some ways spoon fed, but not, I don't mean it in a negative way. It's just the way schooling is done back home. And here it's more research based, more flexible, I would say. And given the fact that my degree is English and history, it's even more subjective. And there's sometimes it so happens that there's no right answer. It's just it's very flexible. Basically, that's what I've been like.
Okay. All right. So I think what I gathered from you is, whereas in India you felt like it's a little bit of a rigid structure and probably more theory based, text based
Yeah, but
here, probably.
I don't mean it in a negative way. It's just a
No, not
difference
at
that
all.
I just
Different.
that's the difference I have
Yeah,
observed between the
absolutely.
educational system.
Yeah. No, I don't
Yeah,
think so. I
yeah,
think
both
nothing
have their
negative.
merits. Yeah, both have their merits and demerits, and it's just a difference that I have observed and can't quite compare both of them. Both of them have been rewarding for me. So,
But I think also one positive thing to pick up from there is, Indian students who study in India and come here and study, they tend to do well. So that
yeah,
shows that
yeah.
probably that base works well for them. But
Yes, yes,
here,
absolutely.
yeah. But here it's more creativity,
Yeah,
empowerment, which is all great.
yeah.
Rinal, I
Sorry about
think
that.
we lost you
Yeah.
in between. Did you want to add more to my question about
No,
what
yeah.
else?
So in postdoctoral level, if you want to continue with your with your research with the same lab, then it's a good option. But some I know many of us from my Newton Fellowship group, they have joined industries also out here.
Uh-huh.
Industries because there are lots of consortia, university-based research consortia is there in Cambridge or in Oxford, like small like startups attached to the university, and those they also give very good like it's a very good if you want to explore industry jobs and all, so it is a good resource like you can explore.
Okay, all right. So I think, what you said before is, just keep exploring, keep your eyes and ears open and keep looking for options. Yeah, great. Lipika, because you are also, into responsible for PhD student recruitment, and students who after masters want to do PhD. In fact, if they are international students and they want to apply for it, what do you look for in those applications? How they can go about the whole process, and again, in terms of scholarship, is it easier to get in the PhD level? If you can just give a little bit more information about the PhD bit.
Okay. First and foremost, probably what do we look for? We look for, of course, the person, like Mrinal had said.
Yeah.
So we look for if someone who is applying for a PhD and has already published papers, that person will be sort of, ranking much higher up. Of course, we do look at the marks that the student has got throughout. And of course, most importantly, on top of all that, it's the research, the vision that that person has to write. So that's a very important one. So it has to be within the realms of the university, within the research institute that they are applying to, and it should be holding. The person should have a vision of what do I want to do now? How will it hold, or what is the impact of it after 3 years after I finish my PhD?
Sure.
So yes, it's that statement that you're giving, and what you have done so far. That's really important. Through which we you sort of gather that whether this person has got capability of perseverance through the PhD journey.
Okay.
Once you have that, that's sort of the thing. Now to look at the financial side of things. Again, finances. Every university has got offers scholarships. Now, this scholarship can be either the full scholarship, that means your fees plus the living expenses, or it could be just the fees only scholarship. So the different scholarships, again, to be able to get, you have to apply to these offers and get interviewed. So
Sure.
again, that when you get interviewed, it's really important that you have already made a relationship with the supervisor that you are applying under, showing him or her that you're capable of doing this, because it is through the PhD student, the supervisor also sort of builds up their own research portfolio. So it's important to have a look at that. And of course, there are these other financial options like uh, your Commonwealth scholarships and the different things like the ones that given by your own
Sure.
country,
Yeah.
and of course charities and trusts.
Okay, all right. No, I think that was very helpful. That the case has to be right. That 3 years
case
down
has to
the
be
line,
right.
very
Yeah.
right. And also, you're not talking about today, but what happens after you're done with the thesis, right? Like
Exactly.
3 years
Yeah.
later
You have
on.
to have that vision.
Yes, yeah, totally. And I think what I could gather from all of you, getting scholarship is easier when you get to the PhD level. So I think that's a big positive, I suppose, isn't it? Do you
Yeah.
also get stipend? Do you get stipend when you are doing PhD? Does that work like that? Like, does the university pay anything to PhD students? I'm asking Lipika.
Uh, so if you say stipend, that's what the full bursary is. So you're having your fees paid as well as your living expenses, and that you don't have to pay taxes for.
Sure.
But PhD students also have the option for working. So if you're on a visa, you get about 20 hours per week to work. And within that, you can do, you can do a bit of teaching,
Got
for
you.
which you can earn some money. There
Sure.
are others like you can be part of a research project and do a little bit of research and get the money from as a salary. Uh, and of
Okay.
course, you have got options of working outside.
That's
Yeah,
it. Yeah, I think PhD has got that positive that you also can work outside while you're doing your PhD as well. So that I think
yes,
makes things
within the
easier.
realms of
Yeah.
your visa.
Yeah. Perfect. Great. Swaswati, coming to you. Obviously, you finish your graduation. Is it next year you finish it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So once you finish, there would be options. Either you can go for masters or you can do what you like. So I wanted to know, after graduation, what are the opportunities available, you think, or you have done? And I mean, you must have done your own research as well. Plus, what are you going to explore? What are you going to do?
Basically, at least in my case, I'm thinking of doing a master's and pursue the history bit of my degree. And I'm not quite sure in what area, but I'm thinking U.S. history. So I'm gonna apply to universities here, and basically, I would say option wise, sometimes you can go for a direct PhD without a master's, I believe. But also like there's and there's also like the masters and that's at least the academic part. I'm not sure about the job area because I haven't explored that. Right after undergraduation, I'm not sure about that. So I'm not gonna say anything, but yeah, it's pretty easy because I'm already in the quote unquote educational system here, and I believe it'll be pretty easy to transition from undergraduation to post graduation. I don't know in which university though, maybe the same university that I'm in Nottingham or different, I'm not sure. But yeah.
Okay, all right. So you choose to do your post-graduation after your graduation. But
Yeah.
I think one of the previous guests told us that there is also the option of, getting a job if someone sponsors, get a work permits. So people have that option if they want to go for it. But all the very best for whatever you choose after graduation. Rinal, here in the UK, studying here, one of the, I think, advantages is that, students can work while they are studying. And so the government allows about, I think, 20 hours per week for
20 hours per week, 20 hours per week.
Right. So that's a good thing. What I want to know, do you know how students can find, those jobs? What's the process like? How they can get those jobs?
I have some idea, but I don't know how precise is that. But I know that every university they have something called student welfare office or a similar name they have. So they support you in terms of your accommodation or if you have any visa issues. They also do support you if you want to do some kind of job or things like that. And there are students union office.
Okay.
So I have seen in my university office that they advertise like this kind of jobs and all. And I do see many young students working in all the supermarkets and all. So I believe, and of course, there are some external agencies also. They do advertise within the university that we want 10 hardworking people or energetic people for our this agency for next 3 months or so. So like that, there are options available. And in terms of PhD students, they can go for teaching.
Sure, that's good.
So they can go for teaching, and they are teaching fellows. Something they get paid per class basis. They can support students on their what is that called, seminars and all.
Yeah.
For dissertation and all. So they get paid for those supports also.
Okay, so there are lots of options, for PhD, obviously teaching. For undergraduates, probably they can do jobs in hospitality industry and all of that. Now, do you would Swaswati and Lipika, would you like to add anything how students can get jobs while they are studying? I mean, part-time job, is there anything more you guys want to add in?
It's basically just there are various common platforms like Indeed or Lemon like that. So you just have to upload your CV, make an account, and just. My one advice would be to apply to as many jobs as you can, because there's always going to be a lot of rejections. So it's a trial and error method. Just keep applying. That's it.
Okay, that's good. Lipika, did you have anything to add to that?
I think Mrinal and Swaswati have said, so there is a place called the Unitemps, most of the universities,
Yeah,
so it's
Unitemp
like,
is yes, yeah.
and
How do
there are
you
all the,
say? Is it
you,
Unitems? Did you say?
no,
Unitemp,
Temps.
University
Unitemp,
Temporary, Unitemp,
temporary.
yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's sort
Yeah.
of short, yes. And many
Alright.
universities have got their own sort of criteria things as well. Like we have got people which we call the front runners. So us as academics, if we need people for very short time, we apply, we sort of ask for people through, and then they become our front runners. So they come and do a little bit of work for us, and they get paid for that. So many universities have that, and there's also the graduate schemes. So just after the graduation, you can get that. Yes, I think, and in masters and PhD level, it becomes a little bit much more, better, because you can then do research or teaching within the university.
Okay. So what I have understood from all of your input is that for undergraduates, they have got the recruitment agencies, like, you mentioned about Indeed, and there are lots of recruitment agents that actually hire students, part-time jobs, which can be, like I said, in restaurants, bars, leisure center, and all of that. So keep applying. Like Swaswati said, there may be rejection, but you will get through it, one of them. Lipika said that even universities take up students for ad hoc work, which is a good thing to get into. Then universities also have got their own campus. After graduation they can get into jobs, I think. I think you also run job fairs in the university, which is fantastic, I suppose, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah. And then Brinal said that for PhD students, they can get into teaching, maybe research, and all of that. So there are actually opportunities, isn't it, to get work while you are studying here. So I think that's a really good information. But because I am running out of time, so we'll have to end here. But I had a great time chatting to all of you, and all the all the information that you gave. I really felt they were useful, definitely for people who want to know more about education in England. So thank you for that. And I have learned lots of new things as well. So thank you for that as well. And yeah, goodbye for now, and have a good Sunday afternoon. And hopefully see you sometime, guys.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Okay. So that brings me, sorry. So that brings me to the end of today's show. I really felt that today's show was packed with useful information, and especially for people who want to know more about how the education system works here in the UK. They spoke about how to find a course, how to find the best university, how to apply for visa, finances, also how to apply for a scholarship. So there are lots and lots of information. What I would say, that if you want to listen to them again, then you can listen to the video, and for more clarity. Also, the truth is that tomorrow belongs to them who prepare for it today. So if you aspire to study in the UK or anywhere in the world, then make a list of things that you want to know, or you need to know. Give yourself good amount of time, like the guest said, up to a year, that you need to start the process. And find the sources that would offer you authentic and right information. And finally, probably go ahead with the one that feels right, where you think that you will excel at. So with that, I wish you all the very best for a successful and a bright future. And thank you for watching today's show. And thank you to the Sentinel also for offering this platform where we can discuss topics like this. With that, have a great week. Stay blessed and stay healthy and happy. Goodbye, and I'll see you very soon.